Friends, it is indeed a pleasure to have Pooran Chugani to speak to us about transactional analysis.
It's really pleasure. On the other side, I have this Zoom meeting is becoming more like my family meeting with my family members as well as my friends. So it's a really great opportunity, and I'm intending to do the best I can about getting you some sharing my understanding of transactional analysis. Basically, it's a communication. I'm going to share my story with some pictures as I go. It may become a little longer. I try to cut it out, but the idea is that from the pictures I'm going to tell you about the turning points in my life. My life has been more like a journey, a road less traveled. This was when I was a teenager. I grew up in Bhopal, and while I was there, I was in NCC and Naval Wing NCC, and I got charmed by the uniform as well as by being on the ships, by going to the camps in Bombay and other places. So I got exposed to the sea life, and I said, look, that's the place I want to be. But I still wanted to be an engineer, not a common engineer, but something which has to do with practicals. So I picked up, next slide. I found marine engineering as the best option. It was taking me to the ships and making me a practical engineer. So this is where I was a cadet in Marine Engineering College, Calcutta. From there, I had to join the ships. Not I had to, I would love to join ships. And I joined Scindia Steam Navigation. Next, please. So this was my first ship called Jalakendra, Scindia Steam Navigation. Then I shifted to some foreign companies, and I finished my service as a chief engineer after getting qualified as a first-class marine engineer. While I was on the ships, I started feeling a little uncomfortable because of the uncertainties of the ships moving from place to place, not knowing, people coming and changing every now and then. And apart from that, I wanted to get married. I felt that having a family on board or leaving family at home was also not my, I didn't feel comfortable about it. So I started looking for opportunities ashore, and I joined, I got married and I got joined. Next, please. This was in 73. I've been married for this is my 50th year. And then I went to Plymouth Polytechnic for a diploma in management studies. So while I was there doing management studies, I met my mentor there, in charge of the institute, Captain David Morby. And I had a meeting with him. I said, look, I'm, career advice. And after looking at my profile and talking to me, he says, Mr. Chugani, you are a people's person. So you got to look for some job which could be related to dealing with people. And one of the word he used could be teaching and training. And that hit me. Yes, I think I would like to do that. And as the word started teaching and training started working in my mind, it so happened that there was a recession in 73 in all over the place, and I could not get a job in the shipping company. So I started looking for other openings, and there was a new opening came up, Singapore. Next slide, please. Singapore Polytechnic. There was a job waiting for me to be a lecturer in the Marine Engineering College. So I joined that place, and gradually I got more and more interested in being a teacher, and I decided that is going to be my lifetime profession. Wherever I am, I will be in teaching. So 11 years in Singapore, there was a lot of staff development activities there. I had a lot of other opportunities to go to, training which relates to curriculum development, assessment, and And that is where in Singapore I got exposed to transactional analysis. This was a program which Singapore Polytechnic had uh, launched with the experts that all staff will undergo a transactional analysis because that is where they found it can make a big difference in whole organization. Not only there was a basic program, there was also an advanced program, and there was also a program for the facilitators. I attended the basic and the advanced program. From there, the life changed again. I was sent to India because the Polytechnic says, okay, Mr. Chugani, you cannot continue on contracts. Either you become a local resident or we have other people. Next, please. Next. I came back to Mumbai and it was a big change. I tried to resettle in Mumbai, go my own home. All my family was there, but we were so used to Singapore that we had quite a tough time. But anyway, as we were settling in, there was another breakthrough, which I've been also, it was a dream job. I wanted to be in international organizations. And that's where I joined. Next, please. I got a breakthrough for an ILO project in Dar es Salaam. And this was a really, really great place to stay. And it was a great experience. And we stayed there for 4 years. And as we were living there, my children were growing up and they were in international school. They wanted to come to US for studies. And we said, okay, one by one, they came to US. Next, please. And after my stay for 4 years, where I became a chief technical officer in ILO, we moved to Mumbai. And that's where looking for jobs, I felt that I do not want to be in a bureaucratic type of work where I have to report to my bosses. When I had an experience that when I had an expertise in particular area, and my bosses wanted to tell me how they want things to run, I felt very uncomfortable. So I started going on my own. I became an independent consultant. I created some distance learning program. And as I was doing that, I also taught at different training institutes as a visiting faculty. I had an opportunity to develop and conduct training of trainers and assessors course for mariners, which ran for, it was a government approved program. And then I was also a chief executive officer for board of examination for seafarers. That's where I had a big exposure with the government organizations. But because I was an independent consultant, it's the job which government had assigned to the board of examiners. And I felt that, okay, people accepted me the way I was and they accepted my expertise. And I worked for 7 years. That's the time we started having an itch that both my children were in the US, and they said, look, we want to be with children and we don't know what will be the future. So let's move to US when the time is just right. And that's where we came here, and it's been almost 9 years here. And I have, again, I said, what do I do? I want to be in education. So I have become a teacher. I came to know there's a lot of opportunities for math and science teachers. And somebody said, okay, why don't you become? So here I am starting an absolutely fresh life, new career in a way, because teaching in India or teaching in Singapore and teaching at a higher level of education is very different than teaching at a middle school. So that's the story in short. And I've been in touch with Captain Pratap Mehta. He was one of my kind of student initially at the training of trainers, but then he became my colleague along with, he was also conducting training of trainers with me. And now I am undergoing his meditation program. And it's been great pleasure through that. I met him, and this is an opportunity. I'm here with you all. Thank you for joining this program, and let's move forward to our theme. All right. Why do people behave the way they do? open to your sharing.
So this is Shankar from Mumbai.
Yes.
May I?
Yes.
This is Shankar from Mumbai.
Yes, Shankar, please go ahead.
Yes. So I think one of the biggest reasons is the way they have been brought up, nurtured, the way they have been conditioned from childhood, what experiences they've had. All that plays a part in the way one behaves as one grows up. This is just one of the takes. I'll leave it for others to talk.
Yes, Neerath, you were saying something.
May I?
Yes, Mani, go ahead.
Yeah. I agree with one of the point that Shankar has said. It's also the belief that what they believe in. It's also if the like we need to behave this way, or I will not be heard if I don't behave in a particular way. So positive or negative behaviors also come from the belief pattern that you may have, which is based on a combination of personality as well as experience.
Thank you. Anybody else? There are some chats coming in.
Yes,
It says-
Shilpa Joshi says behavior patterns. Padmini says because we tend to react to what comes to us naturally, that has become a pattern for us. Raval says surrounding people and society. Suresh, I don't know which Suresh it is, but definitely he says based on their experience in past, based on their experience in past is the reason why they behave as they do. Savan Pravesh says they react to a situation based on their experience. Simran says because of their habit, and also like how Mani Auntie said, how they have been brought up. And Harish Chandra says life experience and people who have met in the journey of life. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, very, very great contribution from each one of you. And you saw there is no one simple answer. How we've been brought up, our beliefs, our surroundings, our experiences. So first of all, each one of us is absolutely a unique individual. There are no two people alike. And that's where the difficulty comes in. When we want people to do things in the same manner, it just doesn't happen. If you look back in your life, you've seen all different teachers in the same subject was being taught, each teacher at his own style, own way. No matter where you were on the ship, suppose you were on a ship or you were a boss, each boss had a different style. And that's what has been perplexing, although people have been trying, psychologists and scientists, every place there's a big talk going on. So much so there's a quantum theory, quantum physics theory about how the brain works. So all these things are there, and we are still looking at the reasons. However, transactional analysis gives us some idea about understanding people. Next, please. What is transactional analysis? It's basically a psychoanalytic theory. What it says? Psychoanalytic theory, as if the word there, analysis. So we are looking at the psychological position of people when they are communicating. Transaction in this case, as we know, is give and take, and it's an exchange, in this case, a unit of communication. Analysis, a study, a distinction, an evaluation, all those words will go into analysis. Why? Why was it that was created to understand the behavior of individuals and self. Eventually, his idea is to improve. Next, please. This was created by Dr. Eric Berne. He was a psychiatrist, a Canadian, studied in US and worked in US. However, he had difficulty in getting his own theory, accepted, because that time there was other theories going on and people were rejecting him. But eventually, next please, he published a paper in 1957 which was accepted, and he became well known. The whole system became well known in 60s, and today there are several people practicing transactional analysis as well as using it, and there are several books published in different languages. What happened? This is what he observed in mental challenged people, and he observed certain patterns, and he created his theory about transactional analysis. As such, we are going to talk about some more details. Next, please. Then he created the whole thing in simple words. As you see, transactional analysis is a common word, so that this can be understood by common person. Doesn't have to wait till the person gets to a proper psychiatrist, and then psychiatric languages are quite complex. The terms are more complex. So that's why he created these simple words. Next, please. We can improve our outcome of social interaction. Basically, why are we? We are a social, each one of us is living in a society, and we need to get along well. So that's why the idea, more effective, to be more effective in life. Next, please. Okay, let's look at the concepts related to transaction analysis. We are not going to cover everything because it's a long process. I'm just going to be briefly introducing these concepts. And if you've already been there, it could be a revision. But otherwise, this particular simple basic course can run for 3 days in some places. Next, please. The most important concept in transactional analysis is ego states. Now, this word ego does not relate to the word we ordinarily know. No, it's not I, but it's just the psychological state of a person. That's what is called ego state. Transactions, as I mentioned, it's the exchange of communication. Transaction. Next, please. Life positions. Again, there was another concept developed about, you must have heard about I'm okay, you're okay. It's a book over there, a fantastic book. You should read it if you get a chance. If you read it, very nice. So that's where the life positions comes in. So there are 4 positions. Strokes. By the way, everyone needs a stroke. Now, we are not talking about the stroke medically in this case, but stroke is a basic small touch, as we call it, a pat on the back, things like that. Next, please. Scripts. We are all living our life as a script, something which has gone in our head, and we are living that life. This is who I am. This is what it is, and our scripts are basically. I want to touch on very quickly the 3 words related to scripts is persecutor, victim, and rescuer. So these 3 words become our script. One of us, then we have to learn about it. Then there are psychological games. We all play some game or the other, sometime with our spouses, sometime with our bosses, sometime with our children. And this is a very interesting book called Games People Play. Right, next. So this is an overview of what it is. Ego states. Let's dig deep into it. If I'm going very fast, please tell me, stop. And Pratap, am I okay?
Excellent.
All right, thank you.
Great.
All right. So ego states, let's see what we can learn from it. Next slide, please. Well, you see a picture here. What do you notice? I want you to spend some maybe few seconds to start with, and look at it. Who is in this picture a parent, an adult, or a child? So please talk to us. Say number 1 is a child or parent, or 2 is a child or a parent, or 3 is a child or a parent. Anyone? And by the way, there are people here who are participants in our group. They are also in this picture.
Yes. Yes, go ahead. Someone was trying to speak.
Sanjay Kala has put 1 is parent, 2 is adult, 3 is child. Okay, good.
2 is child, 3 is the parent.
2 is child, 3 is parent.
And what is that?
Adult.
So 3 is parent, 2 is child, 2 is adult, 3 is child. Okay, very good. There are people who are present or also in this picture. Let's hear what they think. Okay, now this is where the difference is. Our ordinary observation will tell us, first of all, if we go by the age, then all 3 of them are adult. Yes or no? So when we're talking about transactional analysis, there's nothing to do with the age.
You're talking about behavior.
It is just simply the behavior, only behavior.
Is a child-ready thing.
How do people behave? I can just say from here, my 4 friends are sitting in one room over there, and they behave. When we are friends, we behave more like a child, laughing, joking, enjoying, playing around. We have simply no inhibitions. But we are in public, then we start becoming different. So that's where our ego states change. So that's where this person here, number 1, is my nephew. We were in a picnic and he's doing massage. Basically, when we are trying to do massage and looking after somebody else, we are in a parent ego state. And look at this person here just enjoying. He's also present here. He's just enjoying, and you can see his face. So there's some cunning smile on his face also. He is in a child ego state. This person here is my eldest brother. He's just watching. We cannot say whether he's in a parent ego state or is a child ego state or adult ego state, but he could be just neutral. In this case, I would say he is an adult ego state. So that is how we look at things. Now, what we are looking at only as a picture is a behavior, but our behavior becomes much more distinct when we have actions and our expressions and even our words. How we use it, the whole behavior can be looked at differently. The same sentence spoken with harsh words, harsh voice can make a difference. If I say, okay, I'm sorry, it doesn't mean anymore. It's just the anger which is talking there. So that's what we have to understand from here, transaction. Next, please. Next slide. There are, okay, have you seen a person pointing an accusing finger at others? Next. A person who cares for others, a person who collects facts, thinks through, and acts rationally, one who throws temper tantrums, anyone who learned as a child to be seen but not heard. Well, if you've seen these people, then you've seen the 3 egos, 3 different ego states. Next, please. 3 ego states, as we call it, is a parent ego state, is an adult ego state, and a child ego state. Each one of us has that ego state. Sometimes we are like in a parent ego state, other time adult ego state, and we'll go look deeper into it, how these words have come about. But that's complete personality of each person. There are subdivisions, further subdivisions there. But right now, each of these ego states operate in one at a time. They don't operate three at the same time. However, we shift from one ego state to other ego state quite rapidly. And that rapid change is so rapid that we don't even come to know that the same person who was being very, very logical has suddenly become emotional. So that's where the change comes in. What is a parent ego state? These are the behaviors, thoughts, feelings, traditions, beliefs, and from the parent figures, as we heard. And as you were mentioning, why do people behave the way they do? Some of you mentioned about these facts, that how they've been brought up, what happened in their life, what they learned. So that comes, our learning, some of the basic learning comes from our parents, particularly those things, traditions and beliefs. Next, please. As we are growing, we are learning some facts about things. We're learning, let's say, counting. We learn the words A, B, C, D. We learn math. We learn so many things. When we are gathering facts, let's say colors. So these are facts. These are accepted things. And that's where our computer programming is building up as we are going in. So that's where the adult is building. And when we use those things, we are in adult ego state. Child, as children behave, thoughts and feelings, basically child is all related to feelings, crying, laughing, playing, and exploring. So when we are doing that, that's a time we are in our child ego state. And I can only tell you, we are doing it even now, any time, because we do tend to feel, have feelings. So we cry or laugh or play or even think, hey, how can I do this? Hey, what to do with this? So when we are thinking that way, we are exploring, our different state is working. Next, please. Okay, so I've chosen a small video clip, and we're going to show the video for first part, only about 3 minutes. So please look at that video, and that will explain to you in a better way whatever I have touched upon.
What is transactional analysis? Transactional analysis was founded by Eric Berne, and the famous parent-adult-child theory is still being developed today and became one of the most accessible theories of modern psychology. Whether you're in business, a parent, a social worker, or interested in personal development, Eric Berne's transactional analysis theories and those of his followers will enrich your dealings with people and your understanding of yourself. Philosophical assumptions of transactional analysis are: people are okay. Everyone has the capacity to think. People decide their own destiny, and these decisions can be changed. What are transactions and ego states? Berne's starting point was that when two people encounter each other, one of them will speak to the other. This he called the transaction stimulus. The reaction from the other person he called the transaction response. The person sending the stimulus is called the agent. The person who responds is called the respondent. Transactional analysis became the method of examining the transaction wherein I do something to you and you do something back. According to Berne, everyone is made up of 3 ego states. 1, the parent, 2, the adult, and 3, the child. The parent. This is our ingrained voice of authority, absorbed conditioning, learning, and attitudes from when we were young. We were conditioned by our real parents, teachers, older people, next-door neighbors, aunts and uncles, Father John and Jack Sieber. Our parent is made up of a huge number of hidden and overt recorded playbacks, typically embodied by phrases and attitudes starting with how to, Under no circumstances, always and never forget. Don't lie, cheat, steal, etc., etc. Our parent is formed by external events and influences upon us as we grow through early childhood. We can change it, but this is easier said than done. The child. Our internal reaction and feelings to external events form the child. This is the seeing, hearing, feeling, and emotional body of data within each of us. When anger or despair dominates reason, the child is in control. Like our parent, we can change it, but it is no easier. The adult. Adults are our ability to think and determine action for ourselves based on received data. If we are to change our parents or child, we must do so through our adult. In other words, we can say that parent is our taught concept of life, adult is our thought, and child is our felt concept of life. When we communicate, we are doing so from one of our own alter ego states, our parent, adult, or child. Our feelings at the same time determine which one we use. And at any time, something can trigger a shift from one state to another. When we respond, we are also doing this from one of the three states. And it is in the analysis of these stimuli and responses that the essence of transactional analysis lies.
Stop, please. Okay. So, it just gave you, in very quick way, a complete review of. Okay, another analysis by you now. Apply a little bit of the knowledge which we have, or those of you who have much more, please tell us one by one, what kind of ego states can you make out is a parent, adult, or a child in each person? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Either you can, it's better you speak it, I don't mind, or you can share it.
Can I? May I?
Yes,
Yes,
Mani.
please. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
1 and 2 are child ego state because
All right.
enjoying with each other.
Okay. Good. Anybody else, please? I won't tell you my part of it. Let us hear the. Yeah. Very good.
I think 1 is a child, 2 is a parent, and 3, 4, 5 looks like adult.
Okay, great. Reda. I also see 1 and 2 a child, 2 is child, 3 is adult, 1 is parent, 4 and 5 are adult. Okay. Please keep pouring in. You can speak it out. By participation, please don't be afraid of being wrong, because if you're being afraid, you're being in your child ego state.
Hi, this is Padmini. I think 1 and 2 are child, 3 and 4 look like adults, and 5 looks like a parent ego state.
Very good, Padmini.
Shilpa here. 1, 2 is a child ego state, seems like that. 3, 4 adult, and 5th is a parent.
Okay, fantastic. Please, the more you share, the better clarity you will get. Even if you make a mistake, we all learn through our mistakes. All our learning, I'm telling you, all our learning has come from the mistakes we made in life. Go back and see. Have you learned anything immediately, directly? No. Everything which we learn is through our mistakes. So never be afraid of making a mistake. Let's hear it. I'm going to give you my interpretation. There's no words being spoken. 1 and 2 are more like a child ego state because they are sharing intimacy. They are looking quite intimate and they are sharing some, whatever it could be, a picture or a joke, but they seem to be very calm and collected. Look at the pleasure there. Now, number 3 is more looking at something, messages he's reading. He could be said adult ego state. This number 4 person is having some expressions on the face and maybe looking at some message and say, hey, what? Maybe either angry or surprised. Number 4 is also just calm, maybe looking at an adult ego state. Now, isn't this a common scene at our homes and our offices and whenever we are in the social interaction? This so-called cell phone is ruling our life. So when you're there with people, see if you can keep your cell phone away. It's simple courtesy. Well, even when we are with family, father, sons, children, wife, all of us are with our phone. So please, please, please be more cautious about it. Keep that box away. Next, please. Now, again, this is your turn. I'm going to give you each of the maybe a term of 2 words, sometimes 3 words. So I want you to think about it. Is it a parent or adult or a child ego state? You can put it in the chat.
Can
Yeah, go ahead, Seema.
Okay, being affectionate would be parent.
Okay.
Following orders, child. I think I'll let others say now.
Okay. Listen, while being affectionate, I heard parental, so somebody says child ego state. Okay. Now, being affectionate is basically parent ego state. We show affection with people. It's parent ego state. But that's how we learn also to become a child. We show our affections by respecting others. So it is learned from our parents to how to be affectionate. Following orders. We follow orders.
Child.
Child. Anybody else?
It could also be an adult, I feel, because you logically analyze and then follow it. So there could be a sense of adult ego state as well.
Yes, you're right, Shankar. So it can be a child, depends upon how we follow orders. If we simply follow orders without thinking, then it is a child ego state. But if we follow orders as part of our team, then we are really being adult also, as it's needed. Passing on traditions.
Parent.
Yeah, parent.
More of parent, because I was taught something by my parent. That's a tradition, so you have to follow it. So I'm passing it on to you.
Right.
So, Seema, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I was also about to say both of us, we had unmuted at the same time. So yes, nice to have Shankar here as well.
Okay. So I would appreciate more people share. Right. So basically, there are times when there is an overlap when we are just looking at these words, but it's just that we are looking at the behavior of the person at that time. Passing on tradition, usually its traditions come from parents. We adult don't create traditions. Yes, age-wise we may, but otherwise traditions are passed on from the parent. And when we are using those traditions, we are in a child ego state. Next, testing current reality.
So passing on traditions would be a child ego state?
No. Passing on tradition is a parent ego state. But when we are following traditions, we are in the child ego state. Okay.
This
is very clear. I can see lots of it's very, very clear to people. This one is the adult ego state. Next, please. Praising achievements.
That also
Parent.
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 Right. Okay, keep doing, please. Procrastinating.
Could be adult.
How many of you procrastinate? I can
Most
mention
of us.
I do.
every one of us. There's no one
Yes.
who does not procrastinate. But the question is, why? Why do we procrastinate?
I think could it be because of the child ego state? Because as a child, many times we are told something and we don't want to do it. We'll do it afterwards. I want to play, I'll do it afterwards. So when we are procrastinating, maybe we go into that state. I mean, I could be wrong.
Absolutely. Farida, you hit the nail on its head. Yes.
It's maybe out of fear of failure. What will happen? And that fear, when you are fear, there is a child.
Absolutely, Shankar. Yes. So procrastinating, basically, when you are procrastinating, those things like either you don't like it or you don't, enjoy it, and it's a fear of failure. You don't know it. Also, you don't know it. So
Yes.
how to start on
Could
it?
be level of confidence.
Yes. So all these things, procrastinating basically comes on those negative activities, negative elements in us about the particular job. So that's why we keep it postponing. Okay, reviewing facts. This should be easy. Yeah.
Adult.
Next, please.
Adult.
Being authoritarian.
Parenting.
Parent.
That can be parent, I think, as in, can this be an adult as well if needed, or
Well,
always a parent authority?
Adult only look at the facts and figures.
Right.
Authority, somebody,
Parent.
being authoritarian. I want you to do this. This is how you should do it.
Parent.
This is the only way. So that's when we are, being pushing those things, we are being authoritarian, and that only comes from a parent ego state.
Yeah.
So you got to think about it. Whenever you're doing it, okay, here it is. And then we have to see what happens later on in these transactions. Next, please.
Child.
Having fun.
Child.
Nobody else can have fun unless one is in a child ego state. So enjoy. Just don't be serious all the time. Life is there to be enjoyed. Life is to be there to be felt.
This would be an adult. Being intuitive would be an adult.
I think this could be parent as well, because we always, as a parent tell, okay, do this or something like this will happen. So, we try to be intuitive and give that.
This is an interesting area. Basically.
Can I say, I have a different thought. Can I say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, it's an adult also, but I feel even child. When we are small, we are very intuitive. So is it a child state also?
Not also.
It is a child state.
It is a child state.
It is a child state.
It is.
Yes.
So whenever you're, hey, let me think. Yeah, how do I? So, that basic feeling, we are inviting our intuitions to solve our problems. So whenever you are looking at things more critically and trying to understand in a different way, solving problems, although we use our adult ego state for information, but actually speaking, adult only gives yes or no. But how to find different ways comes from our intuitiveness. Next, please. So let's move on. Let's go to the next stage, because what we talked about, parent, adult, and child, they have further subdivisions. And whatever you saw, now we can be able to state it, what kind of parent ego state, because parent ego state has got 3 subdivisions and child ego state has got 4 subdivisions. and you will be able to identify each one of them as we go. Next, please. Nurturing parent, controlling parent, and a critical parent. So you see, Eric Berne used these words so simple that it's basic English words, and you can make out by just by looking at it what is meant by nurturing, what is meant by controlling, and what is meant by critical. Next, please. Nurturing parent treats the other person in a supportive, protective, and caring manner, brings out good by way of rewarding, supporting, and appreciating. So whenever you have that, or when you've been doing, you're bringing out good in others. Now, what happens if you overdo it? When you overdo it, people get used to it. Okay, I'll do it only when I get reward. I'll do this only when is this. And at the same time, when it is an organization, it is used wrongly. For example, if bonus is given to each one of the employees, irrespective of their work or whatever the contribution was, then those people who worked well, they don't feel good about it. They get demotivated. What is the use me working so hard? So that's where it can be negative in element. So we have to be cautious about how do we keep that. This is just an example of nurturing parent. Why? People feel safe. People look up. People feel happy in the company. So that's me with my 2 granddaughters, and that is another granddaughter and my daughter-in-law. This was recently at Thanksgiving celebration here in LA. Next, please. Controlling parent. Forcing rules, traditions, and punishing for not falling in place. Do we need controlling parents? Well, who do you think is the lawmakers? Who do you think is the police? How do you think even the traffic lights? Although they are nobody there, but it is controlling. So basically, we do need controlling parents. But then when you overdo it, that's where we have a problem. Overdoing it either subdues creativity or it generates repulsion, retaliation, and rebelliousness. Next, please. Critical parent. Picking faults or mistakes and overlooking efforts and good points. It can damage initiative, demotivate, demoralize, and even stagnate growth. Wow, wait a minute, please. Isn't that has happened to us so many times? Our teachers, when we give our reports to them or give our work to them, what they do, put crosses. This is not correct. There is a mistake there. There's a mistake there. There's a mistake there. The whole thing. When we used to, I do not know how it happened with others. When we bring a report card to our parents, what do they look at? A, C. Hey, what happened? You got C. But they don't look at what others. Hey, look, last time you had a B in this. Now you got A. Very good. Why can't we do that? So we got to look at the positive part of it. Then you say, Acha, what happened? Why did you get C? You know, maybe the child has got a good, or anyone else has got a good reason to say what really went wrong. So that is what we have to think about. It's good to be critical. Next, please. The same behavior, when used with forethought, can modify the behavior of other person in a positive direction. Basically, we give constructive criticism. Next, please. Adult ego states. Learn facts, direct experiences without emotions, prejudice, or misrepresentation. Actually speaking, if you program your computer well, it'll play back exactly where it is. So our information which we collect, this is where this can make a difference in our actual using that information. If we have collected information with filters, we have filters. We look at the same fact. Okay, very interesting thing going on today in India. Okay, information coming from BJP quarters, information coming from opposition quarters. There are biases, same information, same data, but people can interpret differently. Hey, look, those are the Bhagats. Oh, those are those people. Those are those people. Look, this is what happened. So that is where the difference is. That same facts and figures, if we look at with filters, it is prejudice of a kind. It's misunderstanding also. So that's what we have to be careful about our adult. What happens next, please? But inaccurate assumptions, beliefs, and perception act like virus in our computer. And that's where it becomes contaminated adult. This is a new term, you won't commonly find it, contaminated adult. And what happens? Where does it get contamination from? Let's see the next. All snakes are poisonous. Well, where did we learn that? We learned it as a child. But then we're taking it in life. We are scared of it. Snakes. The moment we snake, we run away. We shriek. What happened? It's our child ego straight there. Business persons are heartless. Maybe somewhere in our experience, we found the business people just being money-minded and all that. We say, okay, they're heartless. When it came to having money exchange with their own family members, business people act differently. And we say, okay, they are heartless. All politicians are corrupt. Are they? So these are the things which we have taken for granted. Next, please. That's how the picture can be shown. Our adult is contaminated either from a child ego state, from experiences there, or from a parent ego state. And when we are dealing with that, we have to be cautious when we are being very, very critical or being opinionated. Opinions don't come from adult. Opinions are opinions. Somebody said it long ago, even fools have opinions. So please be cautious when we share your opinions. Next, please. Child ego state is very interesting. It has got 4 different parts. As you can see, free and happy. Little professor. This is where the little professor comes in as intuitive, finding out things. Next, please. Adopted child is, go back please. Adopted child is a person who is just following orders. Rebellious is the person who rebels. And have you not rebelled in the childhood? And don't you even rebel even now? Somebody tries to push things at you, you say, no, I don't want it. No, I will not tolerate this. No. So whenever we are in that state, these are the things that we rebel, either with our own family or with our bosses or with outside world. Next, please. So let's look a little bit more. Free child ego state. Most pleasant of ego states. One laughs freely, genuinely, surprised, intuitive, intimate, uninhibited, joyful, and inquisitive, and a fast learner. Next, please. As we grow, free child gets diminished under the pressure of social etiquettes, norms, and culture, and under the bonds of controlling parent and critical parent. We start looking at it. Oh, am I wearing this shirt? Oh, I do not know. How will it look? Wear it what you like. Forget about what people have to say. When you are in that state, forget about what people think. don't think about that, then we are in our free child ego state. However, we have to be cautious that we don't dress inappropriately. So that's where the difference comes in, the freeness of the child. So next, please. What do you see in that person?
Enjoying the swing.
Who enjoys the swing?
Child.
Free
Child.
child.
Free child. That's what the whole idea is. That we do pass through those things, but we don't want to stay there for too long. We feel being free and enjoying is not correct. So please take moments, more and more moments, to be in that child ego state, because that will revives us. A lot of revival comes in us when we are in a free child ego state. So take a walk, enjoy things, just touch some stones, pick up some, look at a child, how the child is behaving, and you will be surprised. Learn from it. Why have I forgotten? I used to be like that. Why have I forgotten to be like that? And learn something from there and try to come back. Next, please. Little professor, instinctive, thinker, creative, problem solver, innovator, etc. Very, very important. Very important. Even now. Next, please. But it can be squashed due to undue criticism, restrictions, and ridicule through controlling and critical parent. So it has got squashed in us. See, I got new idea. I got new idea. अरे you fail हो जाएगा. अरे ये काम नहीं करेगा. अरे ये सब लोग ऐसा ही बोलते हैं. All sorts of these dialogues which come to us that this doesn't work, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. It is restricting us. But those people who have shed all those restrictions, they've gone out and trying out, okay, failing doesn't matter. I'll fail again and again and again till I solve it. But I know there's some instinct in me that will get it. I will get there. I know it can work. I know I'll find a way. When we have that feeling, our little professor is very strong and working. Let's see. You can see the child over next picture. All right, here, just thinking, okay, how do I? Next, please. Adopted child. One behaves as told, close to being a robot. Just follows rules and orders from bosses. Don't we see that? A lot of our bureaucratic organizations do that. A lot of it in a maybe government organizations. People are just asked to do it. Now, there are times where it is important. For example, people are in the army or forces and all that. They are being told, just simply don't ask questions. Don't, just do it. So that's where it becomes very important. At the cost of other child ego states. Next, please. Here is a classroom situation. You see the students sitting there. Now, it's very important that they be in that form, looking at and following. So they are learning. So there are two parts to it. They are being adopted child, as well as they are also using their brains. They are being learning. So they're using the adult ego state. We'll go a little bit another experience about our transaction in the classroom as we go. So next, please. Yes. We resist change. Who doesn't resist change? But change is the only thing that is permanent. We got to accept change. But then we have to learn how to. We learn to accept for survival and in the system. We resist it, but we still have to change. We rebel and defy. But if you defy and rebel for too long, it can also be costly. So we got to learn how to resist change, how to change. This ego state emerges as opposition to excessive controlling parent and critical parent, when one is unable to accept being adopted child. So basically, parent and child, how does it relate? We'll come back to later on the next stage about our transactions, how transactions take place, and a little bit more about it. Next, please. What do you see here? Cholbena cannot. Let's strike. So that's the outcome of being too much control. Next, please. All right. So here it is. We're going to have a quick run through about each statement, and you have to think about it. It is a critical parent, controlling parent, nurturing parent, adult, free child, adopted child. The reason I'm giving you this exercise is because we now need to apply. Earlier on, we just applied parent, adult, and child. Now we have to go into applying our little bit more further divisions. I am pleased with your punctuality.
Nurturing parent.
Nurturing.
All right. Anyone else? Please wait. Let people share some more. Nurturing parent. Anyone else?
Again, I think the way it is said will also change the ego state. If I say very strictly, I'm pleased with your punctuality. So there's no expression, there's nothing, but it is a parental state, no doubt. But could it become a controlling parent? Like when you do something right, I'm pleased with it. You did it right. Great.
Yeah, true. Our tone matters a lot. Our expressions matter a lot. That's what the whole thing about communication. There are three components: our words, our physical state, that time, our body language, as well as our tone. Next, please. My boss wants me to be, pardon?
Captive.
Adopted, yes, adopted child. Okay, do I want to be? No, my boss wants to be on me to be on time. That's where adopted child. Okay, next, please. I'm having a cookie. I need some energy.
So this is adult. The third one is adult.
Sorry, little mixed up here. Two together.
No problem. That's okay. No, it is like that.
Okay. So this is an adult.
Yeah, more people to share, please.
Rebellious. I think it's a parental ego state. What happened? You are late for work today. So it could be a controlling critical parent, depending on again how it is asked.
Nurturing also, no? Yeah.
It could be nurturing depending again on the tone of the person asking. I guess. I mean, this is my.
You see, this is very interesting because that's what we're talking about. Really. Our tone, our manner. Hey, what happened? You're late for your work today? Is one thing.
Nurturing.
What happened? You're late for your work today. The tone changes. What happened? You're late for your work today.
Authoritative. Controlling.
So how exactly the words are said? Here it is only written and we're reading it. But that's where also it happens with us. When we read some instruction from our bosses or something which is written to us, we can interpret it differently. It may not be meaning that way. It may not mean, but we think, oh, this is what, oh, boss is being critical. Boss is like that, something like that. So we have to, that's where we got to be careful about that. The words, sometimes we have to see, is our emotions playing up there? Next, please. I don't care If I get late reaching my office, what kind of a person is that?
Rebellious.
Rebellious child.
I don't care. Absolutely right.
Rebellious
Rebellious child. Next. Hurrah! We won.
Free child.
Free child.
Free child. I want more people to participate. Some of you are just keeping quiet, waiting for others to speak. So those who are speaking frequently, please hold. Let's see some new people talk. Okay, I'm happy you're all interested, sharing, but let's get some other people on the board. Hurrah! Next, please. I'm sorry, I'm late to work today.
It's an adult response.
All right. Okay, Rajesh, thank you.
Adult result.
Okay. Do I have to say I'm sorry?
It may be adapted child.
You see, that's where the difference is. Adult will say the fact, I'm late to work today. But when I say I'm sorry, that means I have a guilty. I'm guilty. So the guilt normally comes in our child ego stage. So that's what you got to understand. How these things, whatever words we speak, how we speak, where it is coming from, which pocket of our character it is coming from, or somebody else is using it, which pocket is it coming from? And when we understand these things, we can deal with it differently. Next, please.
Sir, I have a question on this.
Yes, please. Yes.
Sir, Shilpa here. Sir,
Yes, Shilpa.
see, as a etiquettes, we teach everyone that I'm sorry is a good word. That if you are late or you are not able to present yourself on time or something like that. So we use this word as a, good gesture or something like that. I am
Yes.
sorry.
Right.
So
That's what we
with
teach.
that
Sorry,
was with
continue.
the teach. So how can be it is a part of adopted child, sir? My question is this. Can't be it
Yes.
is a free child? Because there is no guilt actually, but then through the courtesy or having a good behavior or a good gesture or
Yeah, but
goodness
who follows
are
those?
using
That's what a whole idea. Who's that? He is accepted, he is adopted. He's been told by the parents, this is what you should say. You should say, or you must say. You should be sorry.
So okay, so is it good or bad thing?
No. I'm not talking about good or bad. Understand? I'm just saying
Okay.
it is an adopted child ego state. That's all.
Okay, we are just mentioning the state only. We are not
That's all.
thinking anything else other than this.
No.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
But if I say I am late to work today, it's simple factual statement. It doesn't matter how my boss looks at it. I simply say, yes, I am late to work today. I don't have to even say that. My boss knows. Everybody knows I'm late to work. So when I'm saying I'm showing my guilt, and when we are in a guilt state, we are in a child ego state. We are bringing ourselves down. Please understand.
Sir,
so, yes.
Sir, I am Sanjay. May I make a comment over here, sir?
Yes, please.
Actually, all these states are basically, we need to understand what is the stimulus of the transaction. These are all the responses of the transaction. So our response will basically depend on the stimulus. Who is asking the question?
Right.
And our response will be accordingly. So it
Very
may,
good.
state of our mind may change from time to time and from situation to situation. Sometimes it will be adult giving a response. Sometimes it will be a child based on the ego state we be in terms of who is asking.
Right. So agreed. Who's asking? There are ways, situations. All I'm suggesting is that when I say I am sorry, now I've been taught, but it has gone into my adult that I should say sorry. It has become my adult has got kind of little bit of corruption in a way that no, it is expected of me. So this is something what happens to us, that we take it that this is what it should be. This is how. The word should and must, I consider those as pressure words. If at all, we can say, yes, I will come to, but if at all somebody asks me, why are you late? Then it's okay. I say I was late for so-and-so. But if I see my boss, I'm sorry, I'm late. I'm trying to please my boss so that he doesn't, whichever way, all I'm suggesting that there are different situations, and you're very right that yes, how is our response? You're making too many mistakes.
Critical parent.
Critical parent. Yeah. Oh, what mistake kar hai, whatever. So critical. Next, please. I am pleased with the report you submitted.
Nurturing.
Absolutely right. Next, please. I'm going a little forward now, fast. Let us discuss this matter. Somebody new, somebody else. Those who are not Simran. Unmute.
For me, looks like easy adapting. Easy.
Let us discuss this matter. I can see a lot of people are coming back.
Adult.
Adult. Sureshji, thank you. Okay, that's adult. When we say it's a fact, let's discuss this matter. Let's see what we can do about it. Next, please. Don't open gifts till I tell you.
Controlling parent.
Controlling parent. Yes, controlling parent.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next slide, please. Communication. We got, as per the time is concerned, we got half an hour, and let's see how we can close this session within that time, and we should be able to do it. Communication is an exchange of ideas, feelings, facts, and details. Whether verbal, non-verbal, or iconic, it results in some kind of response from the receiver. So I'm just touching upon communication because you got to understand it's an exchange of ideas, feelings, facts. Next, please. The response from the receiver is not always the same as that intended by the sender. And that's where we can apply that through understanding transactional analysis by analyzing the transactions. We're going into the third part now, transactions. Send and receive. It's a two-way. It's no more one way. And transaction is an interaction between ego states of two persons. So we were just initially saying is a communication. Now it is an interaction between ego states of two persons. An element of communication, a stimulus from the sender to and a response from a receiver. So that's what simply, there are many words to explain. I've just chose, cut down on the discussion. I mean, on the words over here. Next, please. This is again a recap. Parent ego state, nurturing, controlling, critical, adult, and can be contaminated, and free child, little professor, adopted, and rebellious. Next, please. Everyone has a combination of PAC in different proportions. Each one of us is composed of that. However, this combination determines the extent of success or failure in life of that person. How does it make a difference? However, the composition of PAC can be modified with the help of an expert. When I make a statement that it makes a difference in the success or a failure of a person, it really goes to show that. It really means it, because you're there. Whatever has happened to us is because of our personalities that we have developed over the years. Our frame of mind, our being in that particular ego state more often than the other. Our habits, they all come from there. So, but it is a way we can change it, provided we learn, we accept it, and we find an option or a different way. Next, please. Types of transactions. Two persons involved in a healthy conversation, they are on the same wavelength. We call it a complementary transaction. Complementary can be from parent to parent. For example, I'm a father talking to another father about our basic problems about children, for example. Oh, my son is doing like this. Oh, my son is doing like that. So that is like, and it can also be like two mother-in-laws talking about their daughter-in-laws. Bosses. So all these things, these are like parent transactions, parent to parent. They are on the same wavelength. They're talking about the same thing. Maybe not very positive, maybe not whatever it is, but they're talking about it. Then parent to child. When we tell our children to do something, we expect them to follow. So if it is they follow it, then it is a parallel transaction. If they don't follow it, it's a crossed transaction. We'll come to that. And similarly, adult to adult, I ask some question, the answer comes positively, I mean, in the same manner, without any feelings, without any, it's just a factual exchange. So that's called parallel also. Complementary transaction. Next, please. Two persons in argument. So when people are arguing, who's listening to who? No one. It just cross all the way. And this we see so often in our system, at home and at work. And we know right now what is going on in the politics. So nobody wants to talk about the common situation, but when we are looking at the things commonly with common objectives, this cross transaction will not occur. Next, please. Conversation that is not honest. Say one thing but mean another. That is called ulterior transaction. Ulterior basically means, क्या साड़ी पहना है? Oh, क्या बाल बनाया है? कहाँ से कटवाए? So, बहुत अच्छे. Now, depends on, so that's not true. क्या? तो मेरे पर हंसता है? नहीं, मैं तुमसे पूछा. मैं सिर्फ बता रहा हूँ, साड़ी बहुत अच्छा है, किधर से खरीदा? So we try to, basically, those are the ulterior transactions. It happens. Sometimes we do it happily with our friends and all that. That's okay. But when we do it sometime with other people, it doesn't go well. So let's go to, we should avoid ulterior transactions altogether. Next, please. This is an example of complementary transaction. What is the time? Other person says 10:30. Simple. Adult to adult. Next, please. What are you doing? That's none of your business. So what, basically the words what, why, when, where, how, basically they come from an adult ego state. But then how we respond it is where the difference is. Okay, let's move forward and apply this in real life situation. Next, please. Teacher, hold on. Teacher, give an example of equal and opposite reaction. Student, when we hit a ball on a wall, it rebounds. So that was a, I'll continue and then we will analyze it. Next, please. Very good. Anyone else? Student, when we make noise, you get upset. All students laugh. Teacher, shut up. All students are quiet, but there's a whistle at the back. Isn't that common thing which you did in your own school? Some noise, something. And if you're a teacher, you experience this again and again. Aman, I can only tell you, I did this in my school days so much. And now I'm facing it in my school. My students are doing it to me. I say, okay, it's coming back. Whatever you throw up in there, it has to come back. Next, please. Teacher, Ashok, I saw you whistling. Student, Ashok, sorry, sir. So that's where the, what do you think after this? How is the class going to progress? You can understand? There's a sort of a feeling in the class has been broken in a way, it's not going smoothly. So let's see how we can make a difference for communication. Now this sort of a thing can happen with all of us in reality, whether it's just a case of a teacher and student, but it can happen at home, it can happen on the job, the transactions can go on. So next, please. Let's look at it. These are the transactions. Next, please. Next. Why is it not moving? Yeah, okay. So give an example. The reply came very nicely. It was adult to adult and back from adult to adult. That is what we call complementary. Next, please. This is where it got crossed. Very good. It was from, can we say, this was also from a nurturing parent. Very good. But then basically it can be said adult to adult, and anyone else asking more people to participate. And that's where the child comes in play. When we make noise, you get upset. So this is where there was a cross transaction. And again, this became complementary. Ashok, I saw you whistling. Parent to child. I saw you whistling. And the child says, sorry, sir. So adopted child and says sorry. Next, please. Let's see now, what can we do to it? So this is, let's position from here. So the student says, comes back, when we make noise, you get upset. All students laugh. So what can a teacher do now? Teacher takes a pause, looks at the class. There is now a complete silence. So you can see what a pause in our conversation can make a difference. We take a pause. When we face an argumentative situation, we just hold our breath. Hold it. Hold it. Count till 5. Sometimes count till 10. Depends upon how is your own feeling developed there. Because yes, I'm upset. Okay. All right, let's see. Next. Oh, teacher, that is an interesting example of an emotional action and reaction. So you see what happened? That was an interesting example of emotional action and reaction. But now, next please. Now, give an example related to the third law of motion. So the teacher is in control. Back, the student, same student replies, when two cars are moving in opposite direction and collide, both cars get damaged. Look at the way things change. The student gathered his own adult as well, came out from the child ego state. The whole class, the whole mood changed back to what it was supposed to be. And this is what the child comes out with, or the student comes back. Next, please. That is a perfect example. So a dialogue ends. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm coming to close to the end of it. We have talked about different things, and we're giving you some idea about the ego states and the transactions and what type of transactions there are. So let's go to the next slide, please. Class will now continue peacefully. Next. All right. So summing up, by now, all of you have started using these terms. So you got some idea. By using it more and more, they ingrained in us. So when you go from here, look up some more information about transactional analysis, get more and more used to these terms, and notice it in real life, where these are functioning at your work, with your family, at home, wherever you are, and you will be able to see so many examples, and you say, yeah, that is like a free child. Oh, yes, that is like a controlling parent. Oh, yeah, let me ask some questions. Let me find out some facts. So all these things will happen, and you will realize you're in parent ego state, you're an adult ego state, or your child ego state, and so is notice others. When you are able to notice others' ego state, that's where the time you can make a difference in your transaction to get to more positive results. So that is the whole purpose of transactional analysis. So I have something idea for you. Next, please. Transactions can be okay. Now, before we go to the second part of the video, which is also 3 minutes, and then we'll have question and answers. It depends upon, we're going to go over the time, but if at all, we can otherwise send some answers to you by email or in the WhatsApp group. And but before that, I have something more, an announcement for you. Next slide, please. All right, homework. Homework, wow. Hey, you came to attend a class and you don't go with homework? That is not a good class. So please create. Remember, I'm going to post it in the WhatsApp group again, the same ideas. Create 3 sets of transactions. Just that means 2 sentences, one from sender, one from the receiver. One element is complementary, other one is a cross transaction, and third one could be ulterior. and share it in the WhatsApp group. All of you, don't worry whether it is right or wrong. Just don't worry. Share it in the WhatsApp group. So that's for. Please respond to our survey. I'm going to be sharing it right now. It will take another minute or so by you to complete the survey. And then I'm going to end my presentation here. Pratap will take over and show you the video, the second part of the video film which we have. And then we can have some question and answers. Yes, Pratap, next slide, please. Or you can, yeah, next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
At the core of Byrne's theory is the rule that effective transactions, successful communications, must be complementary. They must go back from the receiving ego state to the sending ego state. For example, if the stimulus is parent to child, the response must be child to parent, or the transaction is crossed, and there will be a problem between sender and receiver. If a cross transaction occurs, there is an ineffective communication. Worse still, either or both parties will be upset. In order for the relationship to continue smoothly, the agent or the respondent must rescue the situation with a complementary transaction. In serious breakdowns, there is no chance of immediately resuming a discussion about the original subject matter. Attention is focused on the relationship. The discussion can only continue constructively when and if the relationship is mended. Here are some simple clues as to the ego state sending the signal. You will be able to see this clearly in others and in yourself. Parent. Angry or impatient body language and expressions, finger pointing, patronizing gestures. Verbal. Always, never, for once and for all, judgmental words, critical words, patronizing language, posturing language. Beware of cultural differences in body language or emphasis that appear parental. Child. Physical. Emotionally sad expressions, despair, temper tantrums, whining voice, rolling eyes, shrugging shoulders, teasing, delight, laughter, speaking behind hand, raising hand to speak, squirming and giggling. Verbal, baby talk, I wish, I don't know, I want, I'm gonna, I don't care, oh no, not again, things never go right for me, worst day of my life, bigger, biggest, best, many superlatives, words to impress. Adult, physical, attentive, interested, straightforward, tilted head, non-threatening and non-threatened. Verbal. What, how, who, where and when, how much, in what way. Comparative expressions, reason statements, true, false, probably, possibly, I think, I realize, I see, I believe, in my opinion. And remember, when you are observing ego states, words are only part of the story. To analyze a transaction, you need to see and feel what is being said as well. Only 10% of meaning is in the words spoken. 30% of meaning is tone, the way that the words are said. 60% is in facial expression, gestures and postures. Transactional analysis is effectively a language within a language of true meaning, feeling, and motive. It can help you in every situation. Firstly, through being able to understand more clearly what is going on. And secondly, by virtue of this knowledge, we give ourselves choices of what ego states to adopt, which signals to send, and where to send them. This enables us to make the most of all our communications, and therefore create, develop, and maintain better relationships.
Thank you.
Learn with Dr. Paris. And
this was actually, feel free to ask questions, or you can post some questions in our WhatsApp group, and I'll try my best to reflect upon them.
Sir, I have a simple, doubt, you may say. The last 3-minute presentation did say that in a transaction, it is only 10% of the words, 30% of the tone, and 60% of the gestures. But that does not explain how these percentages have come about. Do we do it at a next level or some other class?
Well, this has been a study. Thank you for asking that question, Rajesh. This has been a study carried out by different people. You know, there's so much about it. And basically, as we say, what we listen, we forget. What we actually see, we remember a lot more. And when we do it, we actually absorb a lot more. So this presentation has been using all those 3 components. What you heard, as you listened, then what you saw, the words, and then what you actually practiced also. So these are the different ways of educational system, and all these things actually in real life. In fact, there's a very interesting book. Read a person like a book. So these are the different things, and if you are interested in improving your communication or understanding the pick up these books. They are around, and there's so much more to it. Any other question, please? Thank you for asking. Yes, even when there's a communication online without facing or face-to-face, there may be a change. See, these days, that's why all these emojis are coming to put some feelings in our communication. This is how I see. Okay, I see a heart. I see laughing, or see a. Some of us are so very good at it, and those who have Apple cell phones, there's a lot more advantages there. I have ordinary phones. I cannot do all those fantastic gimmicks as my nephew Pooran Chugani. As I said, this has become my family Zoom meeting. Thank you guys joining and supporting me.
And I just want to add in, my name's Monisha. I want to acknowledge the adult in the room, my chacha Pooran Chugani. It's not nepotism or any favoritism that is making me speak in this moment. I think you being the adult throughout the session gave us freedom at home as my husband, myself, and my child watched the video today to really honestly acknowledge the moments where we're being the critical parent or the nurturing parent or the adult or the free child. And we had so much fun and so many laughs. You made it a very safe space for us to be honest with each other about when we're being that way with each other. And I think we're going to just, thank you for improving our communication with each other today. I also just wanted to add one more thing to the previous question. I believe in it a lot, which is the words said and the emotion felt. So you being the adult in the room, you said a lot of words, but you kept your heart steady with love. I think that it is all 90% below what the words are. And we all know where our hearts are when we speak them. And there is no lying to each other. So many a times in our call and conversations, the tone came up. So I'd say, yes, the more we are grounded in our own bodies as to how we are feeling in this moment before we speak, the better. That's what I'm really walking away with. And it's always the sender's or, it's the receiver's response. So I'd say definitely think before you speak, because the onus of responding is from the receiver. So watch out. How are you feeling before you add any words to the beautiful silence on planet Earth? Thank you so much for providing this space to speak. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, Monisha. And thank you, Pooran, also. So friends, I hope you enjoyed this session on transactional analysis. It is how you communicate to yourself will decide your destiny.
The basic need is, what kind of relationship do I want? Do I want it to be toxic, or do I want it to be a nectar? That's all.